Welcome to another episode of the Tobago House of Assembly's Post-Executive Council Media Briefing. This week, the Acting Chief Secretary and the Secretary for Tourism and Transportation, Tracy Davidson Celestine, addresses the media.
I will first want to focus on a statement of amendment to the yellow fever regulations as advised by the Secretary in the Division of Health and Social Services and issued by her team. And the statement basically reads that there is an amendment to the yellow fever regulations applied to both Trinidad and Tobago. The public health inspectors under the Division of Health and Social Services will join the public health inspectors from the Ministry of Rural Development and Local Government to conduct regular inspections across Tobago and, most importantly, to penalize persons whose actions create harborage for mosquito larvae. The division is currently planning another white waste program for the month of June, and this will continue to distribute bed nets and insect repellent sprays at antenatal clinics, and they are in the process of planning another tire shredding program with the aim of shredding about 600 tires on the island. These are some of the measures to reduce mosquito reduction at the source, and so the division reminds you to pay particular attention to those, and of course there must be personal responsibility in the elimination of mosquito breeding at the sources. And they are advising that you continue to use bed nets and mosquito repellents, and to empty and scrub water storage vessels, flower pots and vases regularly, and also to remove stagnant water from clogged guttering and clear all tall grasses. Remove all garbage in your environment and wear long sleeve shirts and long pants where necessary. So the point is that the Division of Health and Social Services, in conjunction with the Ministry of Rural Development and Local Government, are collaboratively working together and are doing much within their power to eliminate the spread of yellow fever and the mosquitoes. And you, as the members of the public, are asked to play your role as much as possible in terms of eliminating any source that is likely to lead to the spread of mosquito. I also want to issue congratulations to the Charlottesville Branch Library for achieving 60 years in service to the community of Charlottesville and in particular the people of Tobago. They have begun their month-long celebration starting yesterday with a church and Thanksgiving service. It was well received by members of the community, and they would have paid tribute to a number of the different pioneers and stalwarts who would have contributed to the development of the library service, and in particular to the development of the library in Charlottesville. And so I want to, recognize those stalwarts and also to congratulate the Division of Education, Youth Affairs and Sport, and also the management at the library for ensuring that the tradition of the library service remains well and intact in Tobago. I am advised by the Secretary with responsibilities for infrastructure and public utilities that the resurfing program for the Windward Road will begin tomorrow, and the exercise will take place from John Dial into Mount St. George. Of course, we all know that we have been experiencing some challenges when we traverse on that road on a daily basis, and I, as a resident of Windward, who traverses that pathway on a regular basis, is very pleased that the Division of Infrastructure and Public Utilities is embarking on such an exercise, which is to restore the road to its usual position. And so the resurfacing program starts tomorrow, and you may be inconvenienced, but it's all for the development of Tobago and ensuring that we can have proper road access. Moving to the Division of Tourism and Transportation, I want to put to the public a release on Blue Food from CNN, which stated that CNN again listed Tobago's Blue Food Festival as one of the world's best food festivals. And in a report written by John Malathronas, he pointed out that now in its 18th year, the annual festival in Bloody Bay focuses on dishes utilizing dasheen. And so that release explained that dasheen is a root that is of the taro variety. It's eaten in abundance in the Caribbean because it can be cultivated in flooded conditions. And according to that report, the week-long festival attracts thousands of participants, all keen to cook and to sample the dasheen product. And so when you look at the comments from CNN, we also had it can be taken in the context that recently Tobago was identified by CNN again as one of the fastest growing destinations in the Caribbean. And also the Caribbean as a region being the fastest growing destination in the world. And this also come amidst a recent statement, I think as recent as in 2013, where Pigeon Point was named one of the best all-day beaches in Tobago. And so the point is that Tobago continues to receive global recognition as a destination, and we are making, continuing our strides to ensure that Tobago is recognized both internationally and globally. I'd want to add to the public information that the cruise season has officially ended on May 3rd. And going back to the records, it was one of the most successful cruise seasons in the history of Tobago. During that season, we had approximately 106,000 persons that would have come ashore. This comprises both passengers and, of course, crews. Our research indicates that the passengers spend at least $74 a day, and that does not include the amount spent by the crew as well. This is the most number of passengers to ever visit Tobago on cruise ships, and the growth in the sector has continued apace. I want to publicly congratulate the taxi drivers, the tour operators, the members of staff at the port. Though we had some challenges which we had to iron out on a regular basis, they would have collaboratively come together to ensure that the cruise season is a successful one. May I remind you that bi-weekly, we had between 250 and 300 passengers who flew on a chartered flight from Germany to Tobago, and they joined the cruise, while a similar amount disembarked from the ship and they made their way back to Germany. Our estimated calculations suggest that for that season alone, about 52.4 million TT dollars was spent on the island during that particular season. And I am pleased that there was a trickle-down effect, and so you find that quite a lot of the monies went to the small man, the maxi and the taxi drivers, the restaurateurs, the craft vendors, the street vendors, those who are renting bicycles, and those who have bars and so on. And so this $52.4 million can be further helped to stimulate the Tobago economy. Additionally, with the Olympics in Brazil close at hand, Tobago is expected to be the hubs for nationals seeking to travel to Brazil for the Olympics. As you know, we have been operating a shared service between Barbados and Tobago to Sao Paulo in Brazil, and this service will continue to August 27, 2016, or after the end of the Olympics. Following the Olympics, a decision has been made to terminate the flight out of Brazil, and this is being done because Barbados was responsible for 65% of the shared loads, which they are no longer interested in doing so. And so in that circumstances, and also the circumstances in Brazil at this time, where there is a sudden decline in the Brazilian dollar, where there is the sudden drop in cruise prices, which is of course hurting the Brazilian economy, the increased political instability, and of course the threat of the Zika virus, Tobago as well will be ending their contractual arrangement with Gull and Barbados. And so we will look for a replacement, not necessarily to Brazil, but to the South American market via possibly, and we are in discussions with other airlines as we speak. New flights out of Europe, again, will happen this winter season. It promises to have 5 weekly flights out of UK and 2 out of Germany, with the introduction of a flight out of Munich directly to Tobago and 1 out of Manchester to Tobago as well. And so those flights will both be operated by Thomas Cook and will come directly to Tobago and will, of course, provide significantly more seats to the destination as well. And so we expect a very buoyant winter season, and we expect that all the stakeholders, those who are applying their trade in the accommodation sector, the restaurateurs, the bars, and all in the hospitality industry will start ensuring that things are in place to receive additional guests in the winter season. From the statistics I've seen, the forward bookings are looking very good, and we continue to push from the destination to ensure that the marketing is taking place in those respective target markets. I also want to indicate that there are 2 training programs that the Division of Tourism and Transportation is engaged in at this time. We are training our taxi drivers in both first aid training and, of course, in customer service, because we are in the hospitality industry. And training goes a long way in ensuring that we treat with the issues of customer service that we may currently have on the island. We had just about 15 taxi drivers participating in our first aid training programs, and we try to ensure that we train taxi drivers every 2 months because, of course, they are critical. They are a critical part in the delivery of the service. And that training program would have taken place on the 29th of April at the Red Cross facility. We have partnered with the Red Cross Association, and we have well over 25 of them attending the course on how we maximize the visitor experience and focusing basically on customer service excellence for small tourism operators workshop. Last but by no means least is just some information with how we have performed with the Tobago Jazz Festival to date. All of the information has not come in yet. We have received some preliminary figures from Caribbean Airlines, which suggest that we had just about 15,000 persons flying on Caribbean Airlines for that particular period. The figures from the ferry services are not yet available from the Port Authority. Is not yet available, and we will provide you with that information. I am also told that we are also tabulating information in terms of ticket sales, sponsorship, and those kind of different areas so that we can give a more comprehensive report to the public when that information is all tabulated within the Division of Tourism and Transport.
My questions to you are in regards to the Colombian film crew that's operating in Tobago right now. Now, I noticed that you didn't say anything about it in your reports, but there have been many calls for tourism to actually meet with the farmers and the fishermen and all those affected in a more respectable manner than was done 2 Sundays ago on May 8th. What is your response to this?
Well, I am informed. Well, let me say that some time ago we would have received some information from ETEC indicating that a Colombian film company is coming to Tobago to conduct a film. When I did the research, I recognized that it was a significant investment on a film that is internationally recognized. That is the Survivor film. After I would have indicated to the members of staff within the division, that being the product manager, that they need to conduct the evaluation of the beaches that they would have requested at that time. I am told that there was a meeting with members of staff of the Division of Agriculture, Marine Affairs and the Environment. I was present at one of those meetings, and the members of staff would have indicated that the evaluation of the beaches were done. In some instances, this is last week Friday, I held the meeting to find out what exactly is the situation. I am told that that evaluation exercise was done, and they would have advised in terms of which of the beaches are best for the filming of that significant film, which I understand there is a budget of about $4 million to be spent in the economy of Tobago. Since the issue arising with the farmer from Lansamy, I have done a site visit. I have gone to the 4 sites where they are filming at this time. I was at Friendship on Saturday. I would have interacted with all the locals who are getting business as a result of the film operators being here in Tobago. There were about 15 or more buses, and different drivers were there who are in high praise of the film at this point in time. They would have indicated that since they have been engaged by the Colombian company, that there has been minimal disruption. I have also seen what has happened at Englishman's Bay. They have rented out the facility at Englishman's Bay as well, owned and operated by a private operator, and he is there very willing and working with the Colombian firm in order to ensure that everything goes well. The issue then comes with Bloody Bay. My product manager, the product manager in the division, would have indicated that there was a meeting held on May 8th, and subsequently there were a meeting where there were some village council representatives, and the beach facility manager at Bloody Bay was also at that meeting. I was in the village of Lansamy over the weekend, where I met with villagers to find out whether there were any negative impact on the community as a result of the filming. As a result of the film, they are in high praise of the film because they too are benefiting. I understand many of them are engaged in the provision of meals and beverages, and they too have been there showing quite a lot of interest in terms of, the film, etc. What I'm told, though, is that every 3rd day, because of the nature of the film, there is limited restricted access, and that is for a period of, say, 3 to 4 hours. Where the facility is located is in the actual river, and so they do not really prevent anyone from accessing anything. And this is the report both by the Colombian film officials as well as residents of the community who are there on a daily basis. They have not really restricted anyone from accessing the beach, nor have they restricted anyone from accessing any produce. I am told via a report that there is a specific farmer who would have indicated that he was not able to bring out his produce to take to the market. He was offered quite a lot of assistance in terms of moving the produce to the market, but to date, it has not really materialized. But the long and short of it is that there is no total restricted access. The filming is taking place within a river as we speak in Bloody Bay, only on the third day of the week for a maximum of 4 hours. It's 3 to 4 hours, and within that period of time, nobody is prevented from accessing anything. In terms of the beach itself, I have gone there when they were there. The entire beach area in Bloody Bay is free to access by the public. And we have not in any way, the film company has not in any way prevented any fisherman whatsoever from accessing the beach. And this is the word on the ground. I have visited myself. I also went down to Kings Peters Bay at Mariah. There are 3 persons camping on the side of the beach. And it seems to me that most of the community people who have interacted with the film company are saying the same thing, that there is no issue with access to any beach or any farm or anything, and all of them are in high praise of the filming in Tobago at this time.
And why was the public not informed about this? Because from our information, the crew has been active on the island for about a month, right? We've been seeing action happening at Fling Friendship, stuff happened to happen at Bloody Bay and all these other places, but there was no information released to the public. And I remember when, for instance, when the MTV was shooting the Gauntlet here, I can't remember what year, but the public was very well informed. We knew exactly where this crew was going to be, on what day, when they were going to be filming. Everything was made public. But we see in here that it wasn't. Even the 2 releases that were sent from the division did not state a start date or an end date for when these people are going to be on the island. Why is there so much secrecy? Why didn't we know?
Well, I am not so sure, because you just said there were 2 releases. So that means
but the 2 releases only came as information got to hand that Channel 5 was in the area. So I'm just trying to get to the bottom of this. You know, why weren't we known about this information beforehand? I mean, this crew was here for like a month, but then all of a sudden when we started an investigation, then the releases came out.
Well, the thing is, as I've informed that they were on air, they were 91.9, they were interacting with the public, they communicated information that they will be here, the beaches that they will be utilizing in the process. Persons called in and indicated a number of different things, and subsequently we had 2 press releases coming out from the Division of Tourism and Transportation indicating...
After the fact.
Not after the fact.
After the
As
fact.
I said, it's a work in progress, right? Because it started with them sensitizing the public that they were here. This is what the film is all about, allowing for the public to call in and to ask any questions. That would have been done, and then subsequently the Division of Tourism and Transportation issued 2 press releases talking about the contribution to the economy and a number of different things. And so the point is, if there are issues going forward, we are very open to treating with the issues. As I would have indicated, the staff in the Division of Tourism and Transportation met. They met on 2 occasions, the latest one being September 8th, May 8th. At that time, there was no issue with any fishermen. It was only the farmer who had a specific issue, because he, at some point in time, called me to indicate that he had challenges with accessing his garden, and I would have passed that information on to the person in the division who is responsible for coordinating all of this. So the issue is not that we don't want to meet with the fishermen or we don't want to meet with the farmers. We have to gather all of the information before we have another meeting, because we have had 2 meetings before.
But why go up to the community and meet with people that are not being affected and ignore those that are being affected?
Well, the thing is, as I said, you have asked this question on 2 occasions, as I would have indicated. I have to have my own information. I have to do my own assessment. I have held meetings at different levels, both with the product manager. I also met with representatives from environment who were involved. The police officer was also involved, so that they can give me their perspective. I met with all of the taxi drivers, everyone who is plying their trade, members, because I want to understand. I want to have a comprehensive view of what exactly is taking place before we have that meeting with the farmer.
With regard to the tourism properties that were purchased by the THA, I'm not sure if I would have missed anything recently, but just an update on the progress of the work at the Sanctuary Resort and at Manta Lodge. Where are we with those properties?
Okay, well, let me say that I did indicate some time ago that those are 2 properties that we will be looking towards having ready by the end of the winter season, because we have these flights coming in and we're hoping that we can benefit from that arrangement. I'm pleased to say that it's now with EID COT, and they will be rolling out the start of works in the not so distant future.
Why is it that the assembly division, such as tourism, has to allow a parliamentary oversight committee from Parliament to come to ask some basic questions which the public should have been provided with under normal circumstances? I'll give you an example. These festivals mainly, we are never given at least a preliminary report as to, okay, we set out to spend X, we eventually spent X. If you had visitors who you expected to come in, your figures may not be accurate. But I just believe that Tobago has been looking very bad. It has been very embarrassing for all of us looking at the television to find out that it has to take a parliamentary committee to come here to ask these basic questions which the citizenry are entitled to. Why can't the Assembly set up a system where at least those preliminary kind of information could be provided to the public? Because even as they ask the questions, all the answers weren't provided. So, I mean, and it's years now, Madam Secretary, I've been asking for that, And here's a committee from Parliament coming and asking the same question.
There are laws, and so you have to operate within the confines of the laws, right? That is part of the rule and the regulation of the Parliament. The Parliament, they can appoint committees to oversee the operations within divisions, the local government ministries, so to speak. One of the things is that most of the questions that they ask are questions that are submitted by members of the public. And this is information that we really don't hide. For instance, in the case of the Division of Tourism and Transportation, I've been asked endlessly what is the spend for the Jazz Festival. I try to report on the number of persons that come. I think it was 2014 or 2015, I indicated that we had a certain kind of sale coming forward and what was the net investment from the Tobago House of Assembly. I also did give some estimates in terms of our net investment for this year as well. I've also indicated at every forum where we are with international tourist arrivals, where we are with cruise arrivals, and most importantly, where we are with domestic arrivals. But the challenge is sometimes when you put that information out into the public domain, people may have further questions in terms of how it is that you would have tabulated and come to 500 or 90,000 as the case may be. And so we have no challenges in answering the specifics, the information that we continuously put out into the public. And so basically we have nothing to hide in the arrangement.
Thank you for staying with us for another episode of the Tobago House of Assembly's Post-Executive Council Media Briefing for the week ending May 21st, 2016.